So this is something I love to talk about. I've talked about it in other videos, but I wanted to go a little deeper into it today with an audience. I wanted to see what the audience thought. And it's just a saying I made up one day, is that the game is played in rejection. When it comes to meeting women, flirting with women, but really money or anything, it's played in rejection. Your ability to handle rejection in life or with women is tantamount to your success. It's a huge part of your success. And unfortunately, most guys come into this work wanting to know how to avoid rejection altogether. And that is a surefire way to spend your life failing, whether you're trying to make money or be good with women. The art is learning to literally enjoy the rejection. And that might get people to click off this video. That's okay, because they're like, no, I'm gonna go find a technique that gets me past rejection. But when you understand the magic of rejection and what it does when you get good at it, when you begin to understand it and how it serves you, you'll never think that way again. It'll change your whole life, not just your life with women. Yes, it'll get you better, amazing women, great sex, all that kind of stuff, but it'll also make you money, heal your body. Because at its core, anything you're rejecting is going to constantly, like, adverse to. We talk and in releasing and letting go. Anything you reverse to, you're pushing away, has power over you, controls you. So if you're scared of being rejected by a woman, she has power over you, and she can feel that. And everything you do to avoid the rejection, she feels. But when you're comfortable with the rejection, when you're really good at her saying, teasing you, giving you a hard time, you begin to see through the matrix. You begin to see that a lot of times she's just testing you. She's playing with you. She might even be flirting with you and you don't even realize it. She's not really rejecting you. But only once you become good with rejection can you see the truth of that. You begin to see, oh, that's a real rejection, and this girl is flirting with me. And there's a big difference between the two. And a lot of guys take the littlest look from a woman and turn it into rejection. They'll be sitting there and a woman will be talking to them, and she'll glance at the phone, she'll look down, she'll have a thought about something, and she'll disconnect for a moment, and automatically she's rejecting me. That's coming from that fear of rejection, and it might have nothing to do with you. And if you just keep talking to her for a second, she'll put all that away. Oh yeah, sorry, I had a text about something that was going on, and then she connects right back to you. Now, to illustrate this, I've illustrated on YouTube before, but I want you guys to hear it. I had a guy, he was a client, he came to me, he said, women don't like me. Now, he had to be like 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". He was muscular, he had a deep masculine voice, he had a powerful presence, and I thought this guy could be a male model. You can't tell me women don't like you, because not only do you look good, you move, walk, and talk like a very masculine, solid man. So I said, we're going to a bar, I gotta see this. I wanna see that women don't like you. So we went to this pub, and he walked up to a girl, started talking to her. He joked with her, or talked, I don't wanna say joke, he had a conversation for a couple minutes, and he came back and said, see, women don't like me. She rejected me already. And I said, okay, well, what was said? Like, cause I was confused, because I could tell she was confused. I'm looking over at her, and this woman was super confused as to why he walked away. That was my impression, at least. So I wanted to hear what was said. I said, well, what transpired there? And he said, well, I started joking with her or having a conversation. It was a nice conversation. And then suddenly she looks at me and looks me in the eyes and goes, well, I'm not going to sleep with you. So I left. And I said, I laughed, and I said, did you bring up sex? And he goes, no. So she brought up sex first, right? Now, so some of you watching this video or in the room, you might think that's funny. But we all know, if you really look at it from a distance, or hopefully, you know what was happening there. She was attracted to him. She was flirting with him. She was pushing his buttons. She was seeing what was going to happen. When she said that, she was leading it towards sex. And he just couldn't see it. He took it as rejection. And I remember there was a time many years ago I would have thought this way too. That I just didn't get, like, that women did that. And I remember the first time a girl told me, when I was learning how to pick up girls in bars, that she wasn't gonna sleep with me, the same thing had happened. the very first time it happened, but I had learned this. I'd noticed it, and she said, I'm not gonna have sex with you tonight. And I remember I was in an Irish pub, another Irish pub, they're both Irish pubs. And I remember looking at her thinking, I didn't bring up sex. And I said, who says I want to have sex with you, or something like that? And then she laughed. Oh, well, why wouldn't you? And then next thing you know, she's at my place, like a couple hours later, or an hour later, I don't know what it was. And she's still telling me I'm not going to have sex with you. She's taking off her top, but I'm going to pants stay on. And then 10 minutes later, she takes off her pants and jumps into bed. And it made me laugh. I'm like, if you take rejection personal, you'll never see this stuff. Now, you got to understand as men that rejection, there's different types of rejection. I was starting to date this girl. I just started to date her, and she worked in the same pub, and different woman. And I was learning about this to listen to the vibration of a woman, where she was at, her state. And as your field gets bigger, we were talking about a collapsed field, because when your field is collapsed, you'll take all rejection personally. When your field is bigger, you'll begin to take it less personally. You'll begin to flow. And we were leaving the pub, and I said, come over to my place. I got a guitar. She was a musician. I said, we can play guitar, sing some songs. We'll all have fun together, or we'll have fun together. I think I might add a couple friends over. And she goes, no, I got so much going on in the morning, and I really can't do it. And I just grabbed her hand, and I said, come on, we'll just stay hanging for a few hours, and then you can go home. She goes, okay. And then I took her along with me. She went right to my house. Now, the next night, literally the next night, I saw her at the pub again, because she worked there. She was a musician there. And I said, hey, come again. I was like, hey, come back to my place. Let's hang out some more. And she goes, no, I got a test at like super early in the morning. I have to be up at 6 a.m. I need my rest. You could hear the definitiveness and the drop in her tone. And so immediately I was like, oh, well, then go take care of yourself, get some sleep, and we'll hang out tomorrow night. And she's like, okay. And when you start to get over your fear of rejection, when you stop taking it so personal, the part of your brain that can pick up on these subtle cues starts to turn on. When you begin to let people in, because your field is bigger, I talked about that in the last video, you begin to perceive what they're feeling more and more. It's almost like it transmits. As I let you in into my heart, I can feel your excitement, your sadness, your seriousness, your definitiveness, your playfulness, right? And I can react and adjust to that. And women love it when you can do that, because the feminine by nature is indirect, it's playful, it dances. And the more a man is present, the better he can read that dance. And that turns her on, because that tells her he is presence, which is the very thing that she's looking for in a man. You know, there's this whole culture out there where we're all learning to speak super direct. You say exactly what you want, I'll say what I want, we'll come to compromise. But you know what that does? It kills attraction. It destroys attraction, because now you got half masculine, half feminine men and women running around. They might as well just be best friends. And within no time, they don't want to have sex anymore, because they're not dancing off of each other anymore. She's not flowing and dancing and being opened like a flower. You're not creating a container for her to dance for you in. And as a man, when you get really good at rejection, you'll create this big, wide container. That's a whole nother topic. And you'll invite her into that space. This is my space. Welcome to it. And she'll dance for you in that space. She'll flow for you in that space. If she feels safe, if she feels comfortable. But if you're not creating a space and you're just negotiating an agreement because you've lost this balance, then it's not going to go anywhere, or it's going to die quickly. And I think the world has really lost this today. So let's go back. I diverse there, but this whole idea that the game is played in rejection. If you look at it at a deeper level, this is everything in the world. The more I feel rejected doing a sales call, the less I'll do sales calls, the less money I make. The more I feel rejected on approaches, when a girl's like, sorry, I'm busy, I don't have time today, the less likely I'm going to do the next approach. The more I feel rejected in the conversation, the less I'm going to be able to tell whether she is flirting with me, or whether she is being more serious in rejecting me, or where she's at in the conversation. And this is true with everybody, because there are times when even us men are in the feminine and women are in the masculine. It could be a sales setting where you're You're trying to figure out whether you want to buy the car, and think about it. You're sitting there with a guy trying to figure out if you want to buy the car. You might be saying a lot of indirect stuff. You might be saying stuff that goes all over the place because you don't want to say directly to him, I don't want to buy this car, or I'll buy it if you go to this price. So you're playing coy, you're dancing with them. You're doing the same thing she would do with you. So if you think about that for a minute, we all do this. When we feel like the other person's got more power, we start dancing. Or when we feel like the other person is in the masculine and we're in the feminine, we start dancing. And that's normal. That's part of the system and how it operates. So the real fear I want to talk about in the rejection, I want to go into one more thing, is you're afraid not of her. In the sales, you're not afraid of the person buying. When we're focused directly on rejection, the thing you're most afraid of, to be honest, is the emotions of that person. I'm afraid to experience your sadness, your anger, your disagreement. I'm afraid to experience my sense of loss when you don't buy. I'm afraid to be attracted to you and then lose you because it'll hurt me. And I'm afraid of those emotions. The person itself is fine. And it's that inability to allow the transference of emotions that's everything. And so getting comfortable with that is huge. And this is a big realization I had. One day I was sitting there and I said, what am I really afraid of with approaching that woman that's in front of me? Am I actually afraid? I don't feel afraid. And I realized sitting there, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of her. And I wasn't actually even afraid. I was angry. It was this whole range of emotions. I was angry at her for having power over me as a woman. I was angry at her for having this freedom to flow in her emotions. I was angry at her for all the years of feeling rejected. I was afraid of the anger inside my body, my own anger, and I was projecting it onto the scenario. I wasn't feeling fear, I was feeling anger. As I worked through that fear, I began to feel the fear that was underneath. There was some fear. But by acknowledging that anger, the anger I had at women, which was really just a series of emotions, the anger I had at the world, the anger I had at emotions directly, which was actually the most important thing. As a man, I didn't want to deal with emotions anymore. I was like, fuck emotions. I'm so tired of them. Can't we all just, tune that way down and let it go? And as I worked through all those emotions, the anger at emotions, I started to relax. I began to be able to welcome your emotions more, feel your emotions more, enjoy emotions more. You can actually reach the point where you enjoy them, where they're actually fun to dance with, fun to play with. So that was the next important insight that I had in this area. If you avoid rejection, you avoid life. If you let rejection in, the emotions, the feelings, the energy of rejection, which could be anger, could be judgment, could be sadness, you begin to realize that rejection will quickly start to lose its power. Because as you become really good at feeling your emotions and the world's emotions, the world can't reject you anymore. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. That's where the revealing process comes in. If you haven't learned it, definitely grab a copy of the revealing process or letting go, or Hawkins letting go, or something like that, and start to learn to realize that that emotions are just feelings. They're just feelings in the body, and they're not real. Oh, by the way, anybody that's watching this video, I want to hear what you have to say. Put a comment in the video. The comments are really important. I always look at the comments right away and I check them out. Usually the first day the video comes out, second day the video comes out. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now, let's take a couple questions or comments about that. Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I do have a lot of questions on this. So, what's the difference between being vulnerable, the face rejection, and trying too hard? Because I also remember you say we don't want to put too much effort, right?
Effort is fine as long as it comes from courage.
Okay.
But when effort is replacing courage, when you have a closed heart and I'm going to force it,
yeah.
So if it's all force, then the effort doesn't grow you. It actually causes trauma in the body.
Yeah.
So if I close my wall off here, close down, say, I'm just going to go be confident and talk to her, that's effort, right?
Yeah.
But if I start to open my heart and say, I feel anger, but I can feel it from courage. I can look at that effort. I'm going to step into it, and it's not too much. I'm going to find just the right amount. I'm going to walk up and say something. Now we begin to grow. We don't release what's in the body as long as the heart is closed. The heart has to open for us to release. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so learning to feel, that's where the heart walks, vulnerability walks, the meditations come from. Learning to feel when your heart's open or when you're racing and spinning in your head is very important. The more you're spinning in your head and racing in your head, the harder it is to release. And you really don't feel. You're just stuck in a concept of emotions in your head. You're not actually feeling real feelings. So that's why nothing really releases. So if I'm going to effort with you, and I'm looking at you right now with the intent to walk towards you and create tension. If I do this and go up to my head, you feel that force?
Yeah.
If I do that every day, I'm going to get rejected like tons. I'm going to get rejected all the time. And eventually I'm going to burn out from the rejections, right? So in that case, I'm not good at rejection. I'm going to burn out because I'm like a blunt force object. But if I look at you, open my heart a little bit and let myself be scared and let myself feel the rejection and walk into it with that open heart and calibrate and even call it out. Damn, you're making me nervous. My lip is shaking, if my lip was shaking. And look what you're doing to me. And you own that. See, it made you smile. The moment I said that, you smiled. You didn't smile in the first one, did you?
No.
Yeah. So that ability to be present and open-hearted with the effort is what grows you. So that's why I tell people, don't make the effort. Don't make the effort too much, way beyond your limits. Just a little bit beyond your limits, and then the next day a little bit beyond your limits, so you can get this sense of win after win, where you feel yourself with an open heart letting somebody in. Because as soon as you let them in and they smile, you feel a little bit of a win. You feel a little bit, wow, that was nice. Even if she's not single, she's like, I got a boyfriend, but I really appreciate that, or I really enjoyed talking to you. And you start to get more and more of that. Then you start to get a little bit of a lean in, like, oh, you're really confident, you're really interesting, and they start to lean in more because of that open heart, that groundedness.
I also have a follow-up question.
Go for it.
Should you approach for the sake of practicing, or should you have some sort of like a genuine feeling towards that woman? And then you approach her?
This is a good question. I approach a lot for the sake of practicing,
Yeah.
but I don't always hit on the person or flirt with the person. Sometimes I just go talk to people. I open them, ask them a question, and then if there's a connection, I'll start flirting. See. So let's say they're walking down the street and they have a bag that says Converse on it. And I'll be like, hey, where's the Converse store? I'm totally lost. Can you help me out? And then they might say something, and then I'll decide, and then I might decide I want to flirt because I like their energy. And then I'll be like, I don't really care about the Converse store, right? But if I do, so now I'm playing, being authentic, even though it's a little unauthentic to walk up, but it's in that playful stage. Like, hey, where's the Converse store? I'm just having fun. It's not serious. Lying happens when you get serious. Like if I get deep and I start lying about my mother's death to get a girl attracted to me, like that's horrible. That's a horrible thing to do, or about real facts. But making up an excuse to talk to somebody, that's actually, women do it all the time. So I used to do 100 stops in a day, and I just invent reasons to stop people. But if you saw somebody you really liked, you'd go direct. But you gotta have your heart open. You want to ground. You want to drop into your back. You want to receive her, let her in, all the energetics as much as you can. Hey, there's something about you. I had to come say hi to you. And if you really do that, you'd be surprised. It goes better more often. It goes way better often. A lot of guys think direct approaches don't work, and that's because they're not embodied, right? And really confident, solid, embodied people, direct approaches can work really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any more questions?